Hello, I'm Shauna. This is Shauna's World. Welcome or welcome back to my channel where I focus on living well physically, mentally and spiritually. In today's video, I really want to hone in on what that means. So what it is to live well physically, mentally and spiritually, and what the journey has been like for me and how I factor certain things into my everyday to live a more fulfilling and healthy life. I recently decided this is going to be kind of my focus and my niche for the channel, because everyone says it's really important to have a niche on YouTube so that like-minded people can find you. But I have lots of things I love talking about, so breathwork, the outdoors, running, hiking, travel. So I don't want to limit myself too much because I know I can make good videos on all of those things. And I feel like this focus on living well just sums up everything that's important to me and everything that I love sharing and speaking about. And hopefully you guys will enjoy seeing a bit of variety, or at least like some of this stuff, even if not everything is specifically catered to your interests. Hopefully this overarching theme will be enough of a niche for it to work on YouTube, and also to share all of the things that are important to me and where other people might be interested in what I have to say. God, it feels a bit arrogant to be saying, oh, other people might be interested in what I have to say, but I'm gonna own it, because that's what YouTube is all about: coming together, learning from each other, inspiring each other, and hopefully I can connect with certain like-minded people. I just want to make it clear that there isn't one specific correct way to live well, and this is just going to be sharing the techniques I've used and the way that I've kind of really turned my life around from where it once was. But I also want to make it really clear that this channel is going to be real. And I think when you talk about living well, a lot of times you see these picture perfect smoothie bowls and very aesthetic perfect lives, and that is not me. I'm doing all of this imperfectly. I'm learning as I go. I'm just sharing what has helped me along the way, but this isn't going to be like inspiration porn or anything like that. It's just some stuff that has helped me to live in a way that is more authentic to myself. I'm definitely not the poster girl for living well, but I've done a lot of things to move away from a life that wasn't helpful to me, and to be more healthy in every sense of the word. So not just about eating and exercising, but kind of curating my life in a way that works for me and helps me be true to my values. Overall, I'd say I'm about living intentionally and not just mindlessly going through life, which is kind of what I used to do. So number one for me is moving my body in ways that feel enjoyable. And this isn't about kind of pushing yourself too hard or slogging it out in the gym. It's just about doing things that make you feel good. And for me, I really love running, I love hiking, and I love lifting weights in the gym. But some people find, you know, especially running and lifting weights can be quite a punishing activity and would prefer dancing or Pilates or yoga or hula hoop. There's all kinds of ways you can move your body that kind of don't feel like a chore, and it shouldn't feel like a chore. And I just feel really lucky that I love moving my body. So I run as much as I possibly can. I was bodybuilding before, which was really fun in the gym, but it wasn't doing the best for my mental health, which I spoke about in another video. But whatever works for you, I recommend finding ways to move your body that feel good for you. The second change I've made, which was just life-changing, was giving up alcohol. So I've been sober for just over 4 years now, and it is one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I know it might not feel realistic for a lot of people. You might think, you know, I don't need to, so I won't. But I really, you know, I found it hard. I found it hard a lot, but my well-being overall is just so much better. I feel physically healthier. I feel mentally so much less anxious. It's so nice not waking up with hangover anxiety. Oh, what did I do last night? What happened? And I just wasn't doing me any good. And I know lots of people are good at drinking in moderation, but actually I think probably most of us can benefit from cutting down or giving up alcohol, because I think it just lowers your vibration, and it really made me feel less connected to myself. The third change I've made for living well is mostly, not 100%, but mostly giving up caffeine. So before, I was a caffeine addict. I used to have about 10 cups of caffeinated coffee a day. I'd get up early and I would have 1 or 2 before work, and then I would go into the office and I would just drink it all through the day. We had a coffee pot so I could just refill, and it was just so easy to just guzzle caffeine. And to the point where I didn't know what I was like without caffeine. And I know it's a really innocuous addiction, so it doesn't seem that bad, but I relied on it. I kind of felt like I had no personality until I'd had caffeine. And then it was when I was in trauma clinic 2.5 years ago now, I decided I was going to cut it out because I was so reliant on it, and it was really affecting my nervous system, and all of the kind of trauma work was about regulating the nervous system. So I came off it. I went cold turkey. I had such bad withdrawal that, you know, it was like headaches, sweating, low mood. It felt like I was coming off a Class A drug. It was so intense. But then after that, I just felt so much better. And I've been pretty much caffeine free since then. But I do still have the occasional caffeinated coffee because I rely on decaf coffee as a bit of a emotional crutch when people are drinking alcohol. Sometimes I'll have a caffeinated coffee if I can't get decaf. But even then, I don't feel good when I do it. So that's something I'd like to kind of phase out. And it's amazing how much caffeine can impact our nervous system. So if you are drinking a lot, I'd really recommend cutting down or giving up if that can work for you. The fourth thing that has been really beneficial to me is going vegan. So I think it's been 6.5, or is it 5? I went vegan start of 2015. So yeah, 6.5 years. I haven't been perfect that whole time. I've fallen off the wagon a few times just to vegetarianism, but I feel like with veganism, it's not so much about, I mean, I do feel healthier for being vegan, but for me, it's not about the health. I think you can be really unhealthy as a vegan or really healthy as an omnivore. But I feel like for me, it's more about the intentional consumption and knowing that I'm consuming with compassion, that the choices I make are impacting well on the environment. Not always, you know, sometimes vegan food can have a negative impact on the environment, but just trying to be as intentional as possible in my choices. It's also been really great over the last couple of years that veganism has grown so much because there's so much more access to vegan food. You can just pick it up in any supermarket. The fifth thing, which has been life-changing to me, is starting to practice breath work and then becoming a facilitator. But it's really that daily practice that has given me so much. So I started getting into breath work when I was in the trauma clinic I mentioned before, 2.5 years ago. And we learned kind of basic breathing techniques for kind of regulating our nervous systems. And then I started exploring breath work beyond that when I came out and got into conscious connected breathing, which is a very kind of intense journey. And I have found it so beneficial because I used to find it really hard to regulate my emotions. I was very emotionally volatile. And I found that daily practice of conscious connected breathing helped me explore that, and it kind of brings things to the surface that you can kind of process and work through. And then also with other more gentle breathing techniques, kind of knowing, you know, I'm getting a bit dysregulated now, what breath is going to help me. And I know that for a lot of people, breathing just seems a bit airy-fairy, but honestly, it can change you so much. So I'd really recommend looking into that. Let me know in the comments if you want to know any more about breathwork, because I'm going to be making more videos on it, and it's a big part of my journey in living well and continues to be. The sixth thing I do is meditating. So often that crosses over a bit with breathwork, but usually I just do a few minutes of mindfulness meditation either in the morning or the evening. I'm definitely not 100% consistent with it. I know it would be great to have a daily practice with meditation too, but also I think it's important that we're gentle with ourselves when we can't kind of do the perfect routine or stick to something all of the time. Meditation's been important to me because I have a constant feeling of chaos in my head and kind of thinking I don't have enough time, I don't have enough space to kind of be with myself. And doing a few minutes of meditation, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it actually makes me feel like I have more time in my day. And some days that are busy, it's the only kind of real space I make for myself is to breathe and meditate. And I think it's just so important to have some quiet in your chattering mind. I have quite an overactive inner critic, which is quieted quite a lot, but I find meditation really helps with that. The 7th thing I do is practicing gratitude. And this started as always writing down between 3 and 10 things every evening that I was grateful for that day. And I loved doing that. But then I did start finding it hard to stick to the practice and do it every day. So even if I don't write it down, I just make sure every day that I note things that I'm grateful for. Because I think when we're grateful for what we have, it helps us really enjoy life more and kind of avoid getting caught up in the small stuff that can kind of boggle your mind a bit. And that's been really good. And it's just fun. It's just fun to look at your life and go, I'm really grateful for this. And I know, it might come across as quite a thing of privilege to sort of say that you have things that you're grateful for in your life. And I know like when you're having a really hard time, it can be a horrible thing to do because sometimes you just want your whole life to change. But if you can find anything you're grateful for, even if it's just the breath you're taking, or that someone smiled at you, or a memory, I think that can help to pull you out of a really dark period eventually. The 8th thing I do, which I cannot stress, has helped my well-being so much, even though it seems kind of boring and like maybe it wouldn't, but is making a budget and sticking to it. I found before I started doing that, I kind of had a loose budget in my head, and I was like, I spend this on this and this on this, and I was always slightly overspending, so I was completely living paycheck to paycheck, got into a bit of debt, like managed to pay that off through budgeting, and now I'm starting to save, and it's just given me so much mental peace of mind and like enhanced my quality of life so much, knowing that if an expense comes up, I will be okay, and knowing that I can save for things that are important to me in the future. So I think like financial well-being is a huge part of mental and emotional well-being, and I really hate saying that because for so long I used to be like, money's not important, and I do think money's not the be all and end all. It's how you use it and all the other things in your life that are important, but it does give you options, it does give you more freedom, and it's a nice feeling to know that you're not getting caught up in the debt cycle and living beyond your means and just being in control of what you've had. So really grateful that I've started doing that. And I actually really enjoy budgeting now and working out what's going where and tracking what I spend. So highly recommend a budget. The 9th change I made, which has been huge for me, is creating a living situation that I love. And that for me was moving to my beautiful boat, which was a huge risk and terrifying thing to do. I was living in a cushy flat in South London, and I was really grateful for my flat and I did like it, but I just wasn't happy there. And I realized that kind of the traditional way of living with so many bills and things to worry about, it wasn't a cycle I wanted to be in. And I know some people like having a really nice flat or a really nice house is like the absolute dream, but for me it was about more living in sync with the rhythms of the earth and being close to nature. And I wasn't able to afford a flat or a house that was really close to nature, or that, where I could have some land or something. So I did the next best thing and bought a boat, and it's right opposite a park. It's a lovely space. I hear the ducks and the geese all the time, and it's just so lovely. It's really hard at times. I'm not going to pretend it's not hard, but it's just the right kind of hard for me. So when I was in a flat, I felt quite trapped, but on the boat, I feel quite free. And the kind of hardships I have on the boat are the kind of hardships that I face on adventures, like temperature or managing gear and space, things that are just kind of interesting to overcome and feel like, a personal challenge rather than kind of being dreary or not right for me. And I know for everyone, their ideal living situation is going to be different, and I know not everyone is lucky enough to be able to be in their ideal living situation. And I know maybe if your dream is to have like a massive house and you're on a low income, then it might be a really difficult dream to build. But I've been very lucky that my dream was just a much simpler way of living, and I'm saving a lot of money that way. And it's been a sacrifice in some ways, but honestly, I couldn't be happier, and I don't think I'll ever go back to living conventionally. So those are my top 9 things that help me to live well physically, mentally and spiritually. They help me feel like I'm living my truest self, being more authentic to who I am, who I was meant to be. And I'm still working on all of them. It doesn't come necessarily easy to me. Like, often I just want to do what's comfortable and easy, but really making these changes has made a huge difference in my life. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love if you give it a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more about the kind of stuff I've been speaking about today and more, please subscribe to my channel. And you can let me know in the comments if you have anything you would add to this list on things that help you to live well. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed having you here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.